that song.
I'm in love with that song.
I love that song.
I'm in love with that song.
I love that song.
I love that song.
I'm in love with that song.
I love that song.
I'm in love with that song.
Well, hello there. Come on in. Don't be shy. It's good to have you here. You've found your way to the I'm in love with that song podcast. My name is Brad Page, and each edition of this podcast, I come to you via the Pantheon Podcast Network with another one of my favorite songs to explore and examine as we attempt to understand what goes into making a great song. I'm going to start by playing 8 short clips from 8 different artists spanning 5 decades of music. What is it that all of these songs have in common? Let's start with Ike and Tina Turner's River Deep, Mountain High.
When I was a little girl, I had a rag doll, only doll I've ever owned.
The classic 70s band, Humble Pie. Nick Drake.
Nobody smiles if you cross the hairstyles.
New Orleans legend, Dr. John.
You know I had the fool you thought I was yesterday. Tell me why
Roger Waters from Pink Floyd.
Turned his back on the garden and set out for the nearest town.
Hold on, soldier. When you add it all up, the tears and the marrow bone, there's an ounce of gold and an ounce of pride in each ledger.
And then there's Oasis. And KLF.
KLF is gonna rock you.
And Peter Gabriel. All of those songs feature the voice of a woman named P.P. Arnold. She was an American soul artist transplanted to London in the 1960s, where she was able to carve out a career, though she never cracked the charts in the U.S. On this episode, we're talking about P.P. Arnold and her version of a song called Medicated Goo.
The part of me is good for you. That good old-fashioned medicated goo. Ooh, ain't it good for you? My old homegrown recipe is see it through.
Patricia Ann Cole was born in Los Angeles in 1946. She started singing in public when she was just 4 years old. She came from a family of gospel singers. She got pregnant very young and got married, and may never have pursued a career in the music business. She already had her hands full working 2 jobs. But a friend convinced her to audition for the gig as one of the Ikettes. the backing singers for Ike and Tina Turner. When she returned home late after that audition, her abusive husband hit her, and that was enough for Patricia. She grabbed her 2 kids, handed them over to her mother, and hit the road with Ike and Tina Turner in 1965. The Rolling Stones booked Ike and Tina Turner as their opening act for their UK tour, and that's what brought Patricia to England. She quit the Ikettes in 1966 and stayed in London. Mick Jagger took a liking to Pat. In fact, they supposedly had a fling, but it was the Rolling Stones piano player, Ian Stewart, who recommended Pat to producer Glyn Johns, who then introduced her to Andrew Oldham, who signed her to his record label, Immediate Records. It was around this time when her stage name had been changed to P.P. Arnold, a name she didn't really like. I mean, who wants to be called P.P.? But it stuck, and she still goes by P.P. Arnold today. She wasn't the first black artist to discover more opportunity and better treatment overseas than in her home country. Actually, the fact that she was a real black American singer in the gospel tradition in a country filled with a lot of pretenders and wannabes may have helped her career. She was a rarity, the real thing. She released a couple of singles on the Immediate label that didn't really get off the ground, but in 1967 she had her first hit in England with a song written by Cat Stevens. The first cut is the deepest.
'Cause when it comes to being lucky, he's good. When it comes to loving me, he's worth. But when it comes to being lucky, he's good. That's how I know the first cut is the deepest. Baby, I know the first cut is the deepest.
She toured opening for The Small Faces. She had an ongoing affair with Steve Marriott for a while, and he wrote the song Tin Soldier, originally for her but then decided to keep it for The Small Faces, though she did contribute significant backing vocals to that song. We covered Tin Soldier in detail back on episode 54. If you haven't heard that episode, go back and check it out. She recorded a duet with Rod Stewart called Come Home Baby that was produced by Mick Jagger with a band that included Keith Richards, Keith Emerson, Ron Wood, and Nicky Hopkins. How's that for a lineup?
What can I do just to prove I love you? Should I beg on my knees, baby, please? Come home. Come home, baby. Baby, just come on home. Home, baby. Any old time you want home, baby. I'll be right here, you know that, you know that.
She released her second album, Kafunta, in 1968, which featured string arrangements by John Paul Jones. That album was a mix of originals and cover songs, including her version of Angel of the Morning. It was Merrily Rush who had the big hit with that song in the U.S., but in England, it was P.P. Arnold's version that was the hit.
Just call me Angel of the Morning, Angel. Just touch my cheek before you leave me, baby. Just call me Angel of the Morning, Angel. Then slowly turn away from me.
By the end of the 1960s, Immediate Records imploded. She tried working on a new album with Barry Gibb of the Bee Gees producing, but the project fell apart and only a couple of songs were released. The rest went into the vault. When Eric Clapton went on tour with Delaney and Bonnie, P.P. Arnold was tapped to open the show. She put together a killer band for that tour that included Steve Howe on guitar and Tony Ashton on keyboards. After the tour, she went back into the studio with Eric Clapton producing and Delaney and Bonnie's backing band, who Clapton was about to turn into Derek and the Dominos. She cut 3 tracks with Eric Clapton, but they too weren't released, and those went into the vault too. Her time in the spotlight seemed to have passed. She did some musical theater and started picking up work as a session vocalist and a backing singer on tours. She moved back to Los Angeles in the mid-'70s. And after her daughter was killed in a car accident, she withdrew from public life for a while. And who could blame her? Eventually, she moved back to England. Throughout the 80s and the 90s, she continued working as a session vocalist, cutting many tracks, including the ones we heard at the top of the show. In 2001, all of her recordings for Immediate Records were compiled and released on one CD called The First Cut, The Immediate Anthology. That's a great place to start if you'd like to hear all of her early work. And finally, in 2017, after decades of legal wrangling, her recordings with Barry Gibb and those tracks cut with Eric Clapton were finally released almost 50 years after they were recorded. That album was called The Turning Tide, and the song that opens the album is Medicated Goo. Medicated Goo was written by Steve Winwood and Jimmy Miller and originally recorded and released by Traffic as a single in December 1968.
What's wrong with you? Your body's kind of weak and you think there's nothing we can do. Good golly, Polly, shame on you. 'Cause Molly made a stew that'll make a no good out of you. Oh, so follow me, it's good for you. That good old-fashioned medicated goo.
P.P. Arnold's version was recorded in 1970. It was produced by Eric Clapton and performed by the Derek and the Dominos crew. Check out this band: Eric Clapton on guitar, Carl Radle on bass, Bobby Whitlock on keyboards, Jim Gordon on drums, Bobby Keys on saxophone, Jim Price on trumpet, and Bobby Whitlock and Rita Coolidge on backing vocals. The song opens with the bass and the piano in the center channel, one guitar track on the right doubling the bass part, and another guitar on the left playing some licks. Let's listen to some of those guitar licks. Carl Radle and Jim Gordon were a pretty legendary rhythm section. Let's listen to the groove they're laying down on the bass and drums. That gets us to the first chorus. Let's look at how the band puts this together, starting with the bass and drums. Now let's bring in the piano and the organ and see what they add. And then we'll bring back the guitar parts, one on the left, one on the right. All right, let's hear it in the final mix with the vocals.
So follow me, it's good for you. That good old-fashioned medicated goo. Ooh, ain't it good for you? My old homegrown recipe will see you through.
Here's the second verse. This is where the horn section comes in. They're playing a simple part, but it really adds a lot.
Freaky Freddy frolic had some I know. He was last seen picking green flowers in a field of snow. Come on and get ready, Freddy.
Love how the backing vocals join in for just that one line there.
Get ready, Freddy.
That's great.
Get ready, Freddy. They're sure to grow. Mother Nature just blew it and there's nothing really to it, I know. Come on.
Here's the next chorus, and this time let's focus on the vocals, starting with P.P. Arnold's lead vocal.
Come on and follow me. It's good for you. That good old-fashioned medicated goo. Ooh, ain't it good for you? My old homegrown recipe will see us through.
Now let's listen to just the backing vocals.
Follow me. It's good for you. That good old-fashioned medicated goo. Ooh, ain't it good for you? My old homegrown recipe will see us through.
After that chorus, they break it down, sort of a repeat of the introduction.
Ooh, ain't it good for you? My old homegrown recipe will see us through.
That leads into the third verse. And yes, I get that this song is basically just one chord progression repeated through the whole thing. That may bug some people, but not me. If it's a good groove, a great feel, and the band is hot, they can work the same part all night. It's fine with me. Let's bring up her vocals again for this verse.
Annie, Fanny, Cricket, and Uncle Lou. They made some goo, now they really sucker to their friends. Frantic friends and neighbors from door to door. They caught a little whip, now they're digging in, seeking more. Come on and follow me. It's good for you. Yeah, that's good old-fashioned medicated goo. Yeah. Ooh, ain't it good for you now?
And let's bring up all of the vocals for a minute.
Come on and follow me. Follow me. Yeah, the medicated goo. Ooh, ain't it good for you? You know that my old homegrown recipe is here through. Yeah.
Here's one last break before the final choruses. I like the piano licks in the background and the way the organ swirls in at the end as they hit the chorus again.
Yeah. Come on now. Come on.
There's a nice little guitar lick that Eric Clapton plays there. I love how Pat sings that line, and there's another cool little guitar lick from Clapton in there too. Medicated Goo by P.P. Arnold. The Turning Tide album, which finally brought to light all of these tracks that she originally recorded in 1969 and 1970, came out in 2017. And in 2019, she released her first album of new material in over 50 years. It's called The New Adventures of P.P. Arnold. This is a woman who's seen it all, done it all, and lived to tell the tale. She is a survivor. Thanks for listening to this edition of the I'm in Love with That Song podcast. New episodes come out on the 1st and the 15th of every month, so I'll see you back here on the Pantheon Podcast Network in about 2 weeks. Until then, you'll find all of our previous episodes on our website, lovethatsongpodcast.com, or on your favorite podcast app. Your reviews and comments are always welcome. And do me a favor, go tell a friend about this show. Your help in spreading the word is better than any advertising. Remember to support the artists you love by buying their music, especially independent artists like P.P. Arnold, who count on fans like us. And thanks again for listening to this P.P. Arnold episode on that good old-fashioned medicated goo.
Come on.